All right, so this is this is pretty interesting.
This is interesting. So Dana White does a thing on shout out to Dana White.
Yeah.
So Dana White does this thing on UFC 300. He basically made like his version of a diss track of all the people in MMA media. Not all. He left out a few, but some of the people in MMA media who were kind of critiquing UFC 300. And so he plays this video. Now, I think this was on Saturday, April 20th when he did this. Yeah, Saturday. So I was coaching my son's baseball game, and my phone was on vibrate. It's in like these little cubbies in the dugout. I can hear it just going bzz, 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 and I'm like, oh Jesus! And I never check my phone during the game. It's going bzz, bzz. My phone's blowing up. All these people text me. Our boy Keto George texts me. And I was like, what is it? And he's like, oh, just watch. It's Dana, talking shit again. And then Mayhem texts me. He was like so upset, and I'm like, oh, it must be bad. Oh, this isn't good. I hate. You guys know by now, if you've watched me long enough, I don't like beef. I don't like any of this stuff. I was like, oh, man, all I do is give UFC love. What happened now? What's he doing now? And then it says UFC 100 with a smiley face. So you can play the video, Jen.
What's up, guys? As we rolled into UFC 300, the MMA experts weighed in on what they thought of UFC 300. And for all the fighters that were on this card, when I said this is the greatest card ever assembled in the history of combat sports, this is what the media thought of you guys.
Kick off with me.
Makes no sense. Is any fight on this card 300 worthy? No.
This is the most diabolically disappointing UFC 300 announcement ever.
Ooh, they did Jesse dirty though.
Kind of thrown together. It doesn't feel like the culmination.
Me and Ariel, I get.
We're continually told that it's going to knock your socks off. It's going to be amazing.
What did Dana say about this? Right. We're going to blow their socks off. I wanted my jaw to hit the fucking ground.
I did expect a little bit more from the company to blow us away.
Nobody got blown away. Nobody.
We need people that know the sport to be running the show because this is pathetic.
UFC 300, the worst promoted fight card ever. Worst put together fight card ever. Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway for the BMF title, which I think is the corniest nonsense on earth.
Weili Zhang against Zhao Nian. China's going to get all excited, and I don't think anyone else really cares.
UFC 300 will be a disaster.
Are you kidding me, Dana White? The most monumental card that there's ever been. You've had a whole year to prepare for this. Aren't you trying to make sales? Don't you want people to actually buy the pay-per-view? This ain't it. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a regular, decent pay-per-view.
Yeah, video's dope.
It is dope.
Yeah, video. So
and it's awesome that he actually replied with respect. That's
so
awesome.
I saw that,
beautiful.
and then what I put up there too. I put, why you bring up old shit? Yeah. I put fair play. UFC 300 was amazing, and then Dana responded, "That's awesome." #respect.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I also think, where do I want to start? I'll say this. You'll see a lot of people saying, oh, Dana's so petty. And, if I had whatever it is, $5 billion in the bank, whatever he has, $400 million in the bank, why is he paying attention to what we say and this? I'm actually not in agreement with that. I think that's what makes Dana great, that even though he could walk away now and he has more money than God, that he still pays attention, like he's grinding in his basement, and that, he's aware of the narrative of all the cards, not just 300, but all the cards. And I think that's what makes him an outlier. When you look at like Roger Goodell, or you look at the NBA commissioner or MLB, whatever league, it also even other MMA leagues, nobody cares more than Dana White. So to me, it shows that he's not just about money. Yes, is he a ruthless businessman? Yes, you have to be to get to his level and to be a MMA promoter. But he's a guy that's doing it because he actually cares about the sport. And it's videos like that let me know that he cares about the sport. So if your take's like, oh, why is this guy being so petty? He has so much money. To me, I'm like, oh, that's dope. That's dope. But also in that video, there's a lot of, some of them I don't know, and that's I'm not throwing shade on anything. Some of them I don't know. And then like my boy Jesse on Fire, that video was him making fun of people critiquing UFC 300. So he was doing a bit basically on how stupid it is that people think UFC 300 is bad. And he loves Jesse didn't fight in the UFC. He's never worked for the UFC. He's never worked for ESPN, Fox, none of this stuff. Jesse goes to the fight. Dude, no one loves the UFC more than Jesse. So I assume he was probably pretty hurt by that. I wasn't hurt by, any of it. I dig it. And good for Dana. Yeah, good for you, man. And I think, again, Jesse's was taken out of context. You got to realize that my clip in that, I think that was probably in January when they first started leaking 300. And then I think it was like a month or two after that. Like that's like a month or two prior to the actual fight card, because I was going based off when Dana said this is going to be the greatest fight card you've ever seen. It's going to blow you out of the water. When I did that, I wish they showed me going, I wasn't blown. Yeah. I'm trying to get blown. I wish they used that. Dude. God dang it, man. If you're going to use it, use it. So my critique of it is I was told my socks would be knocked off. The only fight on there that knocked my socks off was Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje. Everything else, I went, yeah, that makes sense. That's all that is. Doesn't mean it wasn't a great card. And then the fights we were given at the time that were announced, you got to realize UFC 299 was cemented, was in the books. Like we knew the lineup. And so I was comparing it to 299. Then also you got to realize is, I'm not these YouTubers or TikTokers or Nelk boys, who are new to the sport. Remember, I was involved in UFC 100. I got the Ultimate Fighter House. I was at the UFC Expo. I was in GSP's hotel room before UFC 100. I remember UFC 100 very well. And if you look at that card, it was a better card than UFC 300. And there was no announcement prior to 100 like this fight card's going to blow your dick off. There's nothing like that. You saw it, you're like, oh my God, that's wild. Wild. UFC 200, that card was supposed to be John Jones DC. There's, they changed it, I think, on that Wednesday before the Saturday fight, but UFC 200 was wild. So I expect UFC 300 to beat those, which it's almost it's not fair to Dana. It's almost impossible to beat. Amanda Nunes, Miesha Tate, Brock Lesnar, Mark Hunt, DC, Anderson Silva, Jose Aldo, Frankie Edgar, Cain Velasquez, Travis Brown. What? Then you got TJ Dillashaw on the undercard. You got Johnny Hendricks on the undercard. You got Gegard Mousasi on the undercard. You got Diego Sanchez, Joe Lauzon, Takanori Gomi, you got Jim Miller. These are all on the undercard. Those are wild. So I guess it's my own fault where he goes, we're going to blow your socks off. You've never seen anything like this. I was ready to get blown. So, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, how the hell are they going to beat 100, 200? So that's on me. I guess that's on me. And right after this, 300 was completed, I rank it second. I still think UFC 100 is better. That's no knock on Dana. That's no knock on the UFC. I mean, it literally, I don't think even if they wanted to, they could beat UFC 100. That's the greatest fight card of all time. That was the best to ever do it. But 300 was dope, but playing devil's advocate, and it doesn't matter because it happened. So this is just, playing a game here. Say Max Holloway didn't get that knockout with 1 second left. So say your first fight was Bo Nickel, Cody Brundage. Bo Nickel didn't live up to the hype that was put on him. He's still the man, but he didn't knock the doors off anybody. So you go, all right, that first fight, not great. Then you have Armin, Charles Oliveira. It's a split decision. Okay. And then let's say Max Holloway doesn't knock out Justin Gaethje with 1 second left. You have Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje. That goes to decision. That knockout doesn't happen. That fight wasn't close. Max Holloway dominated. So then you have a majority decision. You're like, all right, well, here we go. And then you have 5 rounds of a women's strawweight of 2 Chinese fighters, and it goes to a decision. So now you have, let's just go through it. If we didn't have the Max Holloway knockout, this is UFC 300, main card. We're only talking about main cards. You have Bo Nickel under-delivered, so you're not going to be crunk there. You have Armin Charles goes to decision. You're not crazy there. You have Max Holloway dominating Justin Gaethje for 5 rounds for BMF title. You're not going to be crazy there. You have the next fight, so you have submission, decision. Then you go to co-main event, and you have Weili versus Yan decision at women's strawweight. So now you have what is that? That's 3 decisions and an underwhelming submission. And then you go to the main event of Alex and Jamal, and it ends in a knockout. The criticism probably would have been there. Now, thank God it didn't, but, and to Dana's credit and to the fighters' credit, like, they showed up. That's what makes this card special. They showed up. Because if it went like how I just went through, the criticism would be deafening. It would be loud. But because you got the greatest knockout in combat sports history, and I will stand by that, it delivered. And then Alex just put the cherry on top, knocking out Jamal. But again, take out Max doing what he did, which is stupid to say, but I'm just saying, take that out. It's not a great card, main card, But he did. So there's nothing to talk about. It's great. You get the greatest knockout of all time. But also, to be fair to me, remember that clip's taken a little out of context because as the fight got close, when Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje was first announced, I didn't like it. I was like, why are they doing this to Max? Like this, it holds up the divisions. No one moves forward. What are we doing? I didn't like the BMF title. Now it's my favorite. That's my favorite title. As that fight got closer, and the more, because when the fight's announced, I know all the fighters. I usually have a good assessment of how it's going to go, but I'm not doing any research. I'm not going back over fights. But as they get closer and it's the week of, then I'll start watching tape. And that's just my, the way I do things. So when Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje got closer and you watch it, that's when I went, oh shit, this is the best fight in the card. Oh shit, Max Holloway's going to win this fight. And he did. And then you always have people like whenever Dana, we've had our issues over the years, but it's all good, man. It's all good. I give Dana the credit for, give me the career that I have. If he didn't change the rules and do the Reebok deal, who knows what would have happened to me? I probably would have stuck around to make the money, but he didn't. And he changed the rules because that was best for his business. He wasn't trying to hurt me. It took me a while to realize that, but that gave me the fuel to build the podcast and firing the kid and, Big Brown Breakdown and do what I do. So, I should probably give him some sort of percentage, if he needed it, but I would. I don't want to, but
and he doesn't.
He has an argument for that. What if he was so petty, he came for that? He's like, I actually need 10%. I'm like, what? I would give it to you, sir. Yeah, there's no issues. But whenever this stuff happens, you'll see people online that jump on it, and the defend Dana and the UFC, and it's just like, oh God, you guys are barking at the wrong dog here, man. Like nobody's more pro UFC than me. And also, I've never had anybody that's barking at me that actually has done anything for the UFC. Like you've never, like maybe you give them your pay-per-view money or maybe you sit cage side. Like you've never, there's no blood, sweat, and tears in the UFC. Bitch, I was in it. I know how the sausage is made and I still love it.